Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Johnson. Thanks for being with me today. It's Friday night, and I am super thankful that it's the weekend. I'm sure that you are too. And today we're going to talk about the idea that we get to choose our healing. And that is a really important and almost required step in order to heal, is to choose it. And I'll talk about what I mean by that and how to do that. And then we're going to talk about roller coasters. And I'm also going to fit something in here that is countercultural and potentially offensive. So stay tuned and don't unsubscribe yet. Actually, I have 97 subscribers and I'm hoping for 100 soon because I get to name my URL. So if you want to subscribe, then I can do that. That would be awesome. Okay, so choosing. What does choosing have to do with healing from chronic pain? Well, first of all, because of the way that Western medicine is set up, when you go to the doctor, they generally just look at the body part and they don't look at your brain and how it's affecting your pain. And so because of that, there is a mentality around pain that we don't have a choice, that we are victim to our pain. And this is the part that is slightly offensive, is that I'm going to tell you that in order to get out of chronic pain, we need to have a mind shift from feeling like we are the victim of our thoughts and emotions and pain and people around us. We need to shift from that mentality of being a victim to realizing we are actually incredibly empowered because of how the brain is wired and how it affects everything in our body. When we stop and choose our thoughts, when we stop and think about the emotion that we are experiencing, or when we think about the way that we believe pain to be playing out in our bodies, and instead of going with this kind of laissez-faire, I don't have a choice, I'm at the whim of all these things, and if we reject that mentality and instead realize that we get to choose how we think and react to things, that actually puts us in a place where we can rewire our brains and turn off that pain signal. Right now, if you're in chronic pain, your brain has certain neural pathways that are distressing, that it is choosing and resorting to on a daily or a minute by minute. It just goes to that space automatically. And we have to choose to interrupt it. And if we don't, we will just continue to go on what I'm going to call like the roller coaster of a nightmare of a roller coaster that we are on, because your brain is just using those neural pathways that are distressing over and over again, and you can't get off. And in order to get off, we get to change how we think, how we react, our emotions, and our beliefs around pain, and start to become more empowered instead. An example of this is last week I went to return something to Nordstrom Rack, and I thought I'll just pop in here, do it really fast, and then go on and do this other thing that I want to get done, because I had all these things I wanted to get done. And I know that one of my distressing struggles, one of my personality traits, is efficiency. Like for some reason, I feel like if I can get a lot done in my day, then I have more value or I have earned something. It's not healthy for me, and it's something I'm working on. And so when I went into Nordstrom Rack, I had this mentality that I was getting these little things done really fast before I met a friend for dinner. But what happened is when I went in there, the lady took forever. And by the time I got to the counter to return my item, I was frustrated and I was grumpy with her. And I had a choice in that moment to be grumpy or to be patient. And I chose to be grumpy. I used an example where I did not use my own medicine, but in moments like that, we have a choice, because I did not choose to be kind and to be patient and to just rest and be slow in that moment. Instead, I actually stressed myself out. I had some, kind of like tension in my body, and then I was rude to this woman also. And those are the types of moments that when we're looking at chronic pain, we're looking at these personality types like overly efficient or overly responsible or self-critical, and all these pathways of thinking that are slightly distressing and are built in some sort of fear. They are setting that nervous system into dysregulation, which then causes all sorts of chronic pain, from back pain to foot pain to IBS, to fibromyalgia, chronic headaches, you name it. And so we have to choose to stop this hellish roller coaster of emotions. And instead, we have to say, no, I'm going to choose peace, patience, kindness, self-control. When I was healing from chronic pain and I came to this realization that I had the power to change how I was thinking, I had the power to change my mindset. I'm going to tell you now, it is my favorite result of healing, because there is something about being able to control your brain and how you react to things that is incredibly empowering. So yes, we have to let go of the victim mentality, which is, I know that's really, we want that. Our culture is really, has embraced this idea that you can't help how you feel, you can't change who you are, what you think, or your emotions, or you're just who you are, and that's that. But in reality, we do have the ability to rewire our brain, and that's so clear in Scripture. The Bible is clear that He says to capture our thoughts, and He has commandments for us about our emotional states and patience and kindness, and so we do know that we are capable of doing that, even though our culture tells us otherwise. And as I healed, I just found that the mental clarity that I had when I was able to stop and control my thoughts, that I was also able to control things like how other people wanted me to feel. And that's another thing that's important, is that we get to establish boundaries within ourselves and say, no, I get to choose whether that person is going to affect how I feel today. So that means if you're around somebody who's grumpy, or somebody who tries to make you feel shameful, for example, we get to have inner boundaries with ourselves that say, nope, not today. I don't want to take on that baggage today. I'm not going to follow that train of thought. And so choosing is a big and really important part of healing. With that medical world saying that your pain and your diagnosis are something that you are a victim to, that's going to be something that you have to fight against. We need to choose to teach our brains that we are safe. We need to choose to teach our brains that we are okay, and we're rewiring, and that we have control over how we respond to even our pain. We get to say, no, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to react to this symptom. I'm going to choose hope. I'm going to choose to say, it is okay if the pain is here, but I am safe. And there is just this mental shift from distress to choosing hope and power and love. God says that He did not give us a spirit of fear, but He gave us a spirit of love and power and self-control. And that self-control is often interpreted as a sound mind. And I think when you actually think about those three things together, God is giving us a gift of empowerment to love others, to have self-control, meaning to control your mind, and that we can use those things as power. He has given us power. And when those things are all in balance, it's a really amazing mental state to live in. But so here I'm telling you, choose, and then make it sound like it's really easy, when in reality it's not. It's very, very hard. Those neural pathways are incredibly strong. They've been fed by neurotransmitters for years, and they've been repetitively used. And so changing them takes some time, repetition, and devotion. And also, it can be hard to know how and what are the thought patterns that need to be changed. And that's where this analogy of the roller coaster, this nightmare of a roller coaster that you're on in pain is. And when you're choosing a different way of thinking, where I'm using the analogy of that roller coaster as if, let's say, it's a relationship with a friend. And you're on this roller coaster and you're in chronic pain, but you're in this friendship. what you have to do is you have to stop and choose to look at it and say, is this relationship safe? Because my brain is telling me it's not, and I am having chronic pain over this relationship. So for many people, a roller coaster is amazing and it's super fun and they enjoy it. So this is one option, is that maybe your brain has detected this roller coaster of your friendship with this person as dangerous when in fact it is not. And your brain is hypersensitive and looking out for you, but is misinformed. And so you get to inform the brain, no, actually this friendship is good for me and it is not unsafe and I can enjoy this roller coaster. The extreme opposite of that is that maybe you look at the situation and you realize, oh, this friendship is actually not safe for me. It is not good. And my brain is responding in pain and saying, I'm in danger here, because you actually are in danger. Now, I will say that most people in chronic pain are not in that situation. But if you are, then the first thing is to reevaluate some of your life and get out of situations that are dangerous for you. And oftentimes that does require asking for help. So don't try to do that on your own. But most of the time it falls into this first category of roller coaster is actually fun, or the second category that I'm going to talk about. But first I'm going to use an analogy for the first category. For example, my wrists used to reject seams and my legs would reject seams. They felt like tiny knives just cutting through my skin. And in reality, it was perfectly safe. My brain detected these seams as dangerous, but they were actually safe. And so I got to teach my brain. I would literally talk to my wrist or to my legs and say, this is safe. These seams and these jeans are okay, and they're not dangerous. And that worked. After a while, I taught my brain that it was a good thing. But most of the time we fall in this middle category. And while you're in a roller coaster, it is hard to know if you are safe or not. Sometimes we need to get off the roller coaster for a little while and check it out. Maybe we need to check the safety seatbelt, make sure that it works, that the bar that comes down clicks and locks into place, or that the bolts are all tight. And we need to sometimes look at parts of our life where there are underlying either relationships or personality traits or emotions that are triggering chronic pain. And there's a mixture of maybe this isn't quite safe, but it can become safe. But we need to look at and adjust some things. And that can be things like realizing some of your personality traits, like people pleasing that we've talked about, or over responsibility, or earning your worth. Those types of mental or mindsets are based in fear, and that can dysregulate the nervous system. Or maybe we have a habit of letting people influence us and letting them make you feel a certain way. They're manipulating, whether they're intending to or not. They're manipulating your feelings to make you feel bad about yourself. And so maybe there's some adjustments that need to be made to that roller coaster ride. Or maybe boundaries need to be set with yourself. Generally, when we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about you stating, nope, I'm no longer going to allow this thing to affect me. Most of the time, we don't get to change another person. We work on what we're going to allow in our own mind, in our own emotions, in our own thoughts. So we're choosing at this point in time to look at the roller coaster ride and look at what trains of thought, what mindsets, what emotions are being triggered, and choosing to change them according to how they need to be changed. And that's why this is not always easy work. That when we're entrenched in something, when you're on a roller coaster ride and you're freaking out, it can be hard to examine the actual ride itself and say what's safe and what's not. So asking somebody else in your life, hey, is this thing helpful? Or working with a counselor or a mind-body coach and trying to figure out, do I have certain things established in my life? Do I have thought patterns in my life that need to be adjusted so that my brain knows that it's safe? What areas in my life am I feeling like I am a victim and that I don't have any choice over this thing, when in reality, God says that He has given us the ability to capture our thoughts and to choose our emotions and choose even our attitudes at times. all these tiny little things add up to like chaos in the brain and a really scary roller coaster ride. When in reality, if we can start to look at some of these things, analyze them, change some things, switch some thought pathways, and choose freedom and choose safety, and good boundaries, then we can actually create what is a really beautiful roller coaster ride. If you don't like roller coasters, I'm sorry, this whole analogy doesn't work for you at all. But I hope that you can get the picture of why choosing is so important, because when we don't choose, we stay on that roller coaster ride, which is those neural pathways of distress, and that causes quite a bit of havoc in our minds. And we have the choice to correct our thinking, or to get off of a ride that is actually not safe, or just to make a simple choice to realize these things are actually safe and I'm okay and I can use my body in a really free way. And that sends a message of safety to the brain. So I hope this gives you some food for thought in this week, that you can just take some time to maybe journal and think about what areas in your life just need a little flashlight put on them, what areas you need help in, and which areas you already know need to have some adjustments. And be careful to be gracious with yourself in this, because oftentimes we have developed some of these thought patterns out of experiences that were sin against us, and we learned that we needed to be safe by behaving and applying certain personality traits in order to find safety. And so as we're correcting some of these things, God is incredibly gracious with us as we learn more healthy ways of thinking and feeling and having really healthy and appropriate boundaries in our life. So I hope this is helpful for you. Reach out if you would like. Check out my website, thoughtbythoughtshealing.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. And I will see you guys again in a week.